Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Loan Officer Playbook, the podcast where we talk about real insights and strategies in loan origination. Today, I'm joined with Christina Cella. Christina has over 20 years of experience in the mortgage business and is the owner of Cella Mortgages. Christina, welcome.
Thank you for having me on today, Michael. It's great to meet you again.
Great to meet you. So Christina, you and I had a little bit of a chat in the beginning, and we were talking about how you're such a plant person, you like nature, and you're very compassionate. And from our first conversation, I think that compassion actually seeps into how you interact with borrowers. Um, could you talk a little bit about your background and how you became this compassionate person that you are?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think like most people, we're informed by our life experiences, right? I started out in the business on the retail side and what was once known as Quicken Loans. Worked for them for 5 years before hopping into the broker community. And most recently, I spent 10 years at United Wholesale Mortgage. They're the largest lender in the country, and spent 10 years there as a team leader, senior account executive. And, as far as just being able to really understand where my experiences has led me is it just boils down to remaining connected and being present with people. You just never know what people are going through on any given day. And I think always to put the shoe on the other person's foot is really critical to the process and making sure that people are walking through this greatest emotional asset of homeownership with utmost care and consideration and patience.
Yeah. It's one of the most stressful processes people
Yeah.
would ever go through in their lives. So
Mhm.
having someone being compassionate with them throughout um, the journey is absolutely key. The thing that most people say though is the mortgage business is really good at getting now business, like when people are actually ready to buy a home. But after you've purchased the home, even the process of like purchasing the home and then even before then getting them as a lead, but even after purchasing the home, how important do you think the post close relationship is with a borrower?
Oh, it's everything. My habits I have in place right now are to follow up with my clients every single month just to check in. It could be something relevant to letting them know what market conditions are doing, just to keep them apprised, like I promised I would, about whether or not it makes sense to refinance. Reminders about what happens after they close and if perhaps the loan is sold off for servicing and what to do then. And just a constant reminder, a warm touch to remind them that I'm here for them no matter what, regardless of, if technology's taken over, their loan has been sent up again to a servicing partner. But it really just boils down to that intentional connectivity that is so important to me from the word go. So I just think it's critical to remain human in this obviously ever changing, rapidly shifting world of technology that you're obviously familiar with now. And just remaining that, keeping that human element in place is so critical, I think, no matter how fast technology is moving on us.
Yeah. Do you think that's going to be your competitive advantage, your human touch?
Yeah, I think it is. And, admittedly, I think, everything that's come my way, thankfully, has been a referral based. And obviously, I'm new to the broker ownership world, and I'm so excited about what's been fostered thus far and what the future is looking like for me already. And honored to be able to work with people I have. But it is most definitely the human touch because with the rapidly changing world, like we talked about, that you are going to help progress, it's just so critical to be able to find a nice equanimity between who we are as humans versus the technology that we have access to that not only helps us create leads for ourselves, puts information out there, like my friend Kubi from Mars More just taught me, into social media that I look forward to employing, but finding new opportunities and different creative ways to find that connection and make it a deeper, I guess, progress for me on the realtor referral network side as well.
Yeah. I do really think that if you have a great human process,
Mhm.
because a lot of this technology that we're building is going to get commoditized at some point. So everyone would have access to it. So what will be the differentiator? And I talk to, broker owners, most of them are like, well, we're going to differentiate ourselves with speed, or we're going to differentiate ourselves with pricing, or differentiate ourselves with technology. But, very few people are like, well, we're going to differentiate ourselves with humans, you know.
No question. It's really interesting time as I was reflecting on our time together today. One of my favorite. This is a little off in a different space, but it really made me think of where we are at this point in history. I took one of my favorite classes I ever took in college, Wayne State University, was a course, an English literature course, an amazing professor, Todd Duncan. And what he presented to us in class is how literature was presented and written during the 18th and 19th centuries when the United States shifted from an agrarian culture to the industrial revolution. And it's just fascinating because I don't think we're too far off in those, I guess, anxieties people have, the rapid shift of machinations of how we're now doing the mortgage industry. I just think it's an interesting precipice to find ourselves in, to not run from it, to embrace it, to find efficiencies within the deficiencies in the process. And again, going back to the human touch that is so critical to maintain clients' trust and respect that obviously we earned in the first place.
Yeah. Um, sorry to ask this. I know it's not about mortgages or anything. I see you have some books behind you, and you just
Yeah.
mentioned something that I think is pretty academic. What are you reading lately?
Lately, one thing that we just talked about actually is Betty Reed Soskin, and she is a first female Black park ranger. And she wrote an autobiography about her life. And women like her are so inspiring to me, to have many lifetimes in one lifetime, which I can completely resonate with at a personal level. But to be able to push past boundaries, push past, thinking uh, that is so sometimes in the box in our business, and really know that you can do anything you set your mind to. So she's an inspiration to me.
Yeah. Um, I always like to talk about other people's passion outside of the mortgage business. Um, I like to use this analogy that when when kids are growing up and you ask them, hey, what do you want to become when you grow up? I don't think any kid has ever said, hey, I want to become a mortgage loan officer. Or I
Right.
want to work in the mortgage business. Everyone just sort of like stumbles upon the mortgage business. So, what did you do before mortgages?
Honestly, it's an interesting path. I've always been in some sort of sales, and uh, prior to that, it was business to business sales. I did that for a period of time. I waited tables. I had tried so many things to really figure out who I was, because my path is not a standard path of where I am right now. But like you said, it is not something that people dream about. I think when I was younger, I wanted to be like Christiana Amanpour, a broadcast journalist for CNN. So
Yeah.
yeah, where my thoughts were and where I am right now, wildly different. So, but that's quite.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love her.
Mhm.
Most people that in the mortgage business, they just stumbled upon it. Like I was a software engineer, and I up to a year and a half ago, I didn't know anything about the mortgage world, and now I'm learning a bunch of different things. And a lot of the people that I talked to as well, they were school teachers and then they stumbled upon the business. Do you think there is opportunity for the mortgage business since it's one of the most important industries in America, but it is not inherently tied to the careers of young people? So, like, what do you think is the future of the industry in terms of getting young people like excited about coming into the business, like longevity in the industry, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of things that I'd really like to do in my lifetime to help people improve the quality of their lives, and really starting out well, and things I didn't learn myself and lessons I learned the hard way. And I think one of the things that is really critical that I'd love to be a part of in the not too distant future is education, not just with homeowners and making sure that they're properly taken care of and cared for deeply, but starting out in schools. And a lot of people, my friend Mark, who's a broker in Texas, a former client of mine, he went into a school where his kids attended and taught them about the principles of credit. So I think that the earlier we can start people to understand not the complexities, but also simplicities of what it's like to be properly mindful about your getting your ducks in a row financially, to spark thought, spark interest and awareness to the industry. I think the younger we can start these conversations, I mean, I can only speak for myself in this, so start at home. We can bring that into schools and educate young people to make proper decisions financially and set themselves up for a positive future. I mean, uh, for myself and my partner, we talked in depth lately about how we don't feel that the stock market necessarily has our best interest in mind. So we're focused on other avenues trying to invest our money, particularly real estate, and closing on some property soon, but also looking at different ways to manage our finances through direct DRSing our financials and not being, captive to a broker chain and going through a IRA financial, for example, to manage our money on our own. So again, a different number of different ways to navigate the process to be in control of our futures. And I think that the earlier we can teach those lessons, the better.
Yeah, and it's a shame that they don't teach this stuff in
I
schools.
agree.
I remember taking economics classes in schools, and a lot of my economics classes was just about, sunk costs, opportunity costs, all those like different costs like supply and demand. I'm like, but actual real economics though,
Yeah,
they don't teach that in
they
schools
don't.
at
And
all.
I mean, I remember going to the bookstore at Wayne State and, out with my $500 worth of books and about 10 different credit card applications. Try to hit them young. I mean, you're going into school with all of these debts and people not understanding what they're stepping into. I remember back in the day, I've laughed about this to this day. My father was an attorney, and back in the day, in my time, I'm 50, back in the day, you could tape a penny to these Columbia House requests for cassette tapes to be sent to you and all your favorite artists. And I thought in my 5-year-old mind that that was a real thing. And I got all my tapes sent to me. And next thing you know, Columbia House. My dad, a notification that I owe him about $500. But anyway, the point is that being in control of those things early on, having those conversations early is critical, even for my little 5-year-old brain. It's important.
Yeah. Well, as a broker owner, you're at a point now when you will start thinking about, hiring and bringing some human capital into the business, and
Mhm.
the talent pool for mortgages, surprisingly, it's very small, especially good loan officers. How are you thinking about recruiting, and what do you look for in the people that you recruit?
That's a great thing to bring up. My choice in for my business has been to remain solely independent. So it will be me, myself, and I. And that's where people like you will come in and all the technology that you're looking to foster with ADI AI to help me with my, again, efficiencies for any deficiencies that would otherwise come into play with a loan officer assistant or what have you. But it's just been my choice at this point in my life to be able to manage the business on my own and seek assistance through technology, through the right third parties to help me manage lead flow as things become a little maybe too much to handle on my own, so I can foster those relationships that are so important to me, my referral network. So, but as far as recruiting and so forth, just for me, it's just been my choice to remain solo throughout this business, and I'm very excited about that opportunity.
If someone looks at your website, and then with what you've just said, they would not think you're the only one in the business, because your website is just so well made. It looks like you have a team of developers making the website. It honestly looks like a tech company website.
Yeah, not well. Yeah, it's definitely got its background in that, thanks to the great help that I have with the team behind it. So they're helping me get things dialed in. I think the one thing that I should touch base on is a development piece that they're working on. Just because again, I'm in the nascent stages of my company, admittedly, and I'm very excited for the future and what I'm building. And but one thing that I'm looking for is just a capture for people to be able to engage with me, being able to automate through AI some of the lead flow that may come in from people just asking general mortgage inquiries. And some of it, from what I understand, is powered by AI. Respectfully, it's just probably above my head. A lot of the things that are happening, I'm so blown away by everything that I can learn from my friends and former clients like Kubi. But yeah, there's a lot more to come on that website, and I'm excited for the future there.
Yeah, there's so much happening in the world of AI right now. I'm constantly amazed. There's just so much, which begs the question, what do you think is the role of AI in the loan process? Like, which pieces of the loan process should AI be embedded into?
For me, I'm all about the human touch up front because people need to feel comfortable. People are going to do business with people that they know, like, and trust, of course. So I think it's so critical for me to stay in tune with the upfront portion, make sure that the application is full. I'm going over every piece of the loan document with them so they know exactly what they're signing and the depth of knowledge is there. Where I have used AI, my technology in current times, is to automate the income calculation, which is dialed into the very figures that Fannie Mae uses to make sure running the numbers correctly, aside from just checking the work behind the scenes before I actually submit the loan to underwriting. Some of the things that I've seen, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about where ADI AI is going, but I think where it will come into play is some of the things that Perhaps we'll deal with income documentation gathering will be interesting. So some way if I could perhaps automate the income gathering process would be very helpful, just so that I could read through the conditions and maybe send before I actually, after I read them, maybe send that list over to the clients.
Yeah. Um, so I'm going to answer your question and then talk a little bit about some of the processes that we're doing.
Yeah.
I think the role of a mortgage loan officer
Mhm.
is honestly going to transform into a mortgage therapist in the sense that people need that human touch
Mhm.
uh, to just guide them through the process. And all of the things you mentioned, 100% correct about, calculating income. If an AI can do it and honestly just cover a lot more probabilities of the income calculation and then going through all the different documents, W-2s, pay stubs, and if I'm a therapist, I don't want to be spending my time doing paperwork when I should just be consoling and then helping people get through the process. And so a lot of what we're doing at Addy actually is automating a lot of the mundane work that mortgage loan officers are currently bogged down doing. Every time a mortgage loan officer is not, every minute they spend not being in front of a customer is a minute wasted because right now that's something AI cannot replicate. A lot of the income calculation, mundane stuff like document processing, requesting docs, chasing docs, AI can handle that. But the upfront work, the personal touch, like what you and I are doing right now, AI is really bad at that at the moment. So that's what I really think the role of the mortgage loan officer would eventually become.
It's brilliant. It's just there's no replacing it. I mean, and maybe you've been on the receiving end of going through the automated process of chatbots and so forth on websites where you're asking very specific questions for assistance and it is not helpful at all. And you're kind of in a cyclical pattern. That's the one thing I abhor, and I just don't want to be a part of it. So that human element is so critical. I find that also to be true of maybe automated phone systems, really press one for this or press two for that. I think someone along the way has come up with the brilliant meme ever where the person's got a big, body and they're screaming into the phone about what their feelings are as they, are repeatedly not thinking out much or like. But nonetheless, it's definitely such a balance and such an interesting time, like I alluded to with the shift before in our 18th and 19th century of agrarian to industrial revolution to now to this brilliant automation and technology piece that has been blowing everybody away. And I talked to a friend in the not too distant past where he had told me, he's like, I didn't know what to say on this card, so helping people write greeting cards for that. It's helping people form thoughts. And I don't know. I think even with that, I think that human element just can't be replaced, and just finding proper nuance and balance is so critical.
Yeah. When thinking about all of that, we have to also think about the borrower's comfort. And I cannot think of any person better to ask about how comfortable borrowers are with different modes of interaction than you. So in your case, when let's say you have this AI system that does phone answering, and then the two scenarios. One, you switch it on completely, and every phone call that comes in is an AI taking in the first couple of questions and then trying to place them with one of your loan programs. And then you have a second case where, the first call is a human call, but then subsequent updates are done by some AI voice. How comfortable do you think like borrowers would feel with both? Like, can you, compare and like contrast both cases?
For me, that's just obviously where the future will be going, right? So, and I'm sure you guys will have a hand in that. But for me, it's all about updates on a regular basis. And I just prefer to be there for myself for follow-up questions or concerns. And my opinion is that anytime I'm in front of my client, it's an opportunity to deepen the trust and relationship, and to also remind them that if everything goes great, and remind them what I asked them for up front. If everything goes well, I love the opportunity to help friends and family with a purchase or refinance they may be working on, or at least be their resource for life as well. So I think that it's a really fine line because of the fact that I always want to be there to ensure that if there are follow-up questions or concerns or one more question I can ask and be there for the nuance, that intentional behavior is so critical to me. I think with relation to the future of AI, it's all about education, like I talked about, whether it be us heading into schools or as far as this piece now that we have in AI, it's about letting people know, like, I know you're probably familiar with AI, it's taken over, you're automating your process, you're dealing with phone lines and chat features. But just know that that will be a part of my process now as a mortgage professional. And you may hear from an automated ring that you have XYZ updates, and just know that if there are follow-up questions after that, to still reach out to me. That's how I perceive it, just because I still want that control, frankly.
Yeah.
Business is
Yeah.
laden with people that have control
Yeah.
issues. manage
It's
manage the day
it's
to
all
day.
about the communication, like you said. You're like, oh hey, I'm gonna be here for you, but just know, and occasionally my AI might reach out for updates. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's again, I think it's a nuance, it's a balance, and making sure the intentional behavior, which is so important to me, is highlighted and something that they know actually to be true and consistent.
yeah. We're just so early in the process that it just has to take a couple of tries to see what borrowers are comfortable with. Some people like to say, "Oh, I talked to a loan officer. Like people don't want to talk to humans anymore. They just want to go
Yeah.
on an app, click buttons, and then get their loan." I'm like, "Well, I don't know if I agree 100%. If I was, making the largest purchase of my life, I want to speak to a human."
Yeah. Was my the client I have in this right now, they're purchasing a vacation home in northern Michigan. Our
Yeah.
entire application, he's a millennial, he's just how he does things. Everything is text between he and his wife. We just start text threads, which is what I do with my brokers as well as title companies and realtors once everybody's on board. Maintain that level of communication. And his entire application, just because of his work schedule and ability and desire, was all through text. It's how he wanted to do business until he was ready to pull the trigger and go over final figures with me over the phone.
Yeah.
So
And he was texting
it's
you.
pardon me, please.
He was texting you. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And also,
Yeah.
it's always about reading the room. Somebody that's perhaps somebody like my mom's 86, she's amazing. But she probably wouldn't be a proper candidate to do the AI stuff with, right? So it's just not her thing. So I would maintain more of a different countenance with her and making sure she deeply understands the process and feels comfortable. So
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned the new clients that you're working with is a millennial, and there's been some talks around, the average age to own a home is just going up and going up. Have you seen some activity with that still trending up, or is it just starting to go down?
yeah, I would actually, I mean, three out of my four past clients have all been millennials, either first time home buyers, or in the case of my clients I just spoke of, they're buying their second home in northern Michigan. So yeah,
Oh wow.
pretty amazing one. Yep.
Lots of millennial
And I think
activity.
that's just a wonderful space to be in for me to truly be at this precipice, like I said, of technology in our industry, to deepen my
Mhm.
understanding of all that you can do for our community, all the things I'm learning from my broker partners, everything I can sop up as far as knowledge is concerned, to handle the fact that I am dealing with people that will be, this is their future, and this is obviously the world we're living in now. So to fully embrace it is so critical right now as we navigate this.
Yeah. I want to ask you a fun question. Millennials, Gen Z, Gen X, um, and I don't know which one of the boomers. Which ones are the easiest to deal with in the loan process?
Oh, wow. I really love the millennials, to be honest with you. I think that the freshness and the progressiveness is so refreshing because I may be 50, but I try to always be learning and always maintain a always be learning, always be growing mindset. So to work with people that this is all they know, you know, um, this is it. We didn't have cell phones when I was growing up. We were just learning computer programming in my eighth grade class way back when. So I love the freshness and openness and progressiveness that I have encountered so far with millennials. They just ask wonderful questions, are open hearted, and that's been my experience so far.
Yeah, millennials are very thorough. Yeah, they're
Mm-hmm.
very thorough,
Oh,
very
they
direct. Yeah,
So on top, I love it. I love it. Let's just get right to the point, right? Let's be authentic.
yeah. That's not to say the other generations are not great. You're all great.
Everyone is great. The point is that there's just a depth of awareness for this, space and time that we are dealing with where they are ready for the next thing. I am blown away when I watch even 15-year-olds today. My partner's daughter, how quickly she takes on to things so quickly. It's just rapid fire. To see the progression of thought is very impressive to me.
Yeah,
Awesome. But yeah, I learned so much, and I have from other clients of mine who just came in from Minnesota to purchase their first investment property for their daughter in Detroit. So they're bridging a gap and a ton of knowledge as far as investments for me too. So, but you can't stop learning and keep an open mind to everybody. But it is to answer your question directly, though millennials are just carry a certain freshness right now. It's really awesome to me.
I agree. Christina, I want to ask you a question about excitement in the mortgage industry. It seems like in the last couple of years, we've been living in the doldrums where some people are excited, some people are hawkish. What are you excited for? Or actually, are you excited or are you hawkish? And if so, what are you hawkish about or what are you excited about?
I'm excited about the fact that the truth always comes to light. I think the most recent economic data showed that there were actually 258,000 less jobs created in the country than was reported. All of a sudden, just 258,000 jobs that were once reported disappeared, which had a positive impact on interest rates. And I was just sharing with my clients yesterday. So, with that being the case, I just think that a lot of things are starting to unravel. There's a lot of relative, I don't want to say calm because there's still a lot of certainty with people's finances from time to time. But I think this is a perfect time for a reset button to properly educate on opportunities for low down payment options, to know the variety of lenders that are out there to help with circumstances, where they thought they were beyond their control. I'm excited about the fact that there is so much opportunity that whomever I speak with, I can educate them about home ownership. And a lot of people just don't know. People just don't know what they don't know. So taking time to have an interaction with every single person is critical. And I just think that again boils back to the organic human relationship that is so critical to what I find value in with my business and my clients. It's maintaining that authentic connection.
Yeah. How would you find balance? You're excited about educating them. You're also excited about staying in touch with them. You're excited about educating newer people coming in who want to do the business. How do you find balance in all of this?
I mean, it's a $1 million question for our industry. I mean, when I was working on the wholesale side of things, I mean, it was not uncommon to work 16-hour days alongside my clients who are ripping through loans all day long at night, trying to take advantage of rates in the ones and twos. So trying to find balance today, I think, is really critical. I think there's different ways to nuance the conversation, and I think perhaps that is a way where AI could perhaps help me automate little touch point communications where I can have quiet time with the family and downtime to call my soul my own and try to find that work life balance. I think it's perfectly imperfect because you do have to be there for people no matter what. And some people have clear boundaries as far as being able to never answer a call on the weekend or they have an assistant and so forth. For me, that's perhaps not a reality right now. So trying to find time to maybe perhaps leverage communication in the future through tools that you were just discussing through AI and doing high level touch points will be critical to that space. But I think that no matter what, just being there for people is paramount to long term success in this business. Well, I think one of the best stories I ever told on the wholesale side was one of the leads in our business, Todd Bitter. He answered a call on Easter Sunday because he just answered a call from a realtor, and that call that he took ended up turning into one of his large referral sources with one of the largest realtor offices in the Arizona area, and it literally made his career. So you just never know when opportunity is going to present itself, and it's really important to be responsive in our business no matter what.
Yeah. You're such a one of a kind mortgage loan officer, broker owner. Our conversation, it didn't feel salesy. I felt very calm in the conversation. which makes me wonder at the end of everything, after you're talking to a client and, you've successfully helped them get a loan, what do you consider as a metric of success? And it could be a qualitative metric.
Sure. I mean, metric of success is that everybody still wants to talk to me. Everybody still takes my phone call. Everybody answers right away when I text them. But that to me, I guess, very tangibly is a connection that I know I did a good job, and people care about
Yeah.
me as much as I care about them, and that means everything to me. So
Number
as
of
far as
post-close phone calls.
for post close phone calls or texts. And it could be anything, because I really talk about anything and everything in between, whether it be you and I talking about, agrarian culture shifting to the Industrial Revolution. But we are a lot more alike than we are different in general as human beings. So I think to find that commonality is important. And post close, I mean, I texted a client of mine about the Kendrick Lamar concert, which I was going to, which he also attended, or just things that we picked up in the nuance of the conversation, which were authentic connections with each other. If you're thinking about somebody, let them know, right? Just maintain that connectivity is so critical. People won't forget you.
Yeah. It's a people business. It's
It is
100% a people business. Yeah.
relationship driven. 100%
Yeah.
agree with that. So it is a people business
Yeah.
all day long. And I say it ad nauseum, but when you really think about what I've referred a home as, is it's everyone's greatest emotional asset. Not many people can spell mortgage. Not many people want a mortgage. They want the house. So being able to create a narrative in a really real way with people to help them understand that this daunting process is going to happen. My friend Vicky actually is coming over here at 6:30, my place. And she is so nervous. First time ever owning her own home, and her landlord is going to sell the house to her in the adjacent lot. And just feeling that anxiety and being able to be there for people in a time where I can let them know, like, believe it or not, you have the means to do this and it can be a reality. So just talking people, bringing it back down to earth is such a fun part of the process for me, to help them understand how real this can be, how there really are options that are out there. And I think I saw a brilliant post on a new loan officer network that's on Facebook, which I'll try to join and pick up on everything I can possibly learn along the way. And it's something along the lines of, why are you worried about a 7% interest rate? Because you're basically doing that for your landlord right now, right? So it's then even plus, because of how crazy rents
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
So I'm just really excited for her and anybody that can possibly help to make things a reality. People just don't understand this. I don't want to say the simplicity of the process, because obviously there are hurdles sometimes we have to overcome. But nonetheless, it's a lot closer to reality than people give themselves credit for.
This has been one of the most authentic conversations I've had on the podcast. So thank you so much, Christina. Um,
Thank you for your time and having me on here. You're a true pleasure to work with, and I'm honored that you've asked me to be on.
Amazing. How can our audience reach out to you?
Sure. 248-342-8282 is my cell phone. It's always on. Feel free to call. And then Christina at CellaMortgages.com is my email. Be happy to visit and find time to connect with you anytime.
Amazing. I'll add the show notes. I'll add your website to the show notes because I think people should really check out your website. It's awesome. I love it. Everything just feels snappy. The animations as you scroll, it's clean and professional. So check out Christina's website if you have the chance to do it. It will be in the show notes. Everybody, this has been another episode of the Loan Officer Playbook Podcast, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.